Hello. Gonna give D a few minutes to get on for our monthly live meditation, wellness, and mindfulness. It's spooky season, so we're fitted up in the corner. Yes, she's here.
Well, now.
Hi, D.
Hey, how are you? Hold your head down or center. Oh, yes. Insanely beautiful.
Thank,
Yes.
thank,
Parisian, you know? That's what it made me think of.
yeah, something different, something to liven up the office.
Oh, man, it really, it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
How are you today?
I am okay. I put some turnip greens on before we got on the phone, and I have some okra on. I think I'm going to hunt up some black eyed peas for those, and then I'm going to make salmon cakes. So that's how I am. That's how I am.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, man. That's what I do over here when I'm not reading or I'm cooking. Yeah, it's a thing.
I remember us talking about that last time, so.
Yeah. I always get the food thing going, no doubt. How's your week been?
It's been good. Not much to complain.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking to people lately, and folks have been saying that very thing to me. Not much to complain about. And I've been thinking about that in terms of um, how we're allowing ourselves to be, how we're accepting ourselves. So this idea of it's all going to be okay, and it's not so bad, and that sense of jumping over the discomfort. That's what it feels like to me as we're going, okay, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to move to the other side of it. I don't know if I think that can be a strategy sometimes, be helpful. But sometimes I think it's a matter of sitting in it. Just, like kind of when you have a loose tooth, that when you rock it,
Mm.
rock it, that's what I'm talking about. It's just sort of, I'm not saying go all the way in, but maybe a touch in a rock of where the discomfort is that we find.
Yeah.
Because you want to know where it is. You want to get a chance to feel it and deal with it. It's just a thought. I've been kind of working with that of because I do tend to flee. I think like most people,
Mhm.
that negative feeling, like what can I do to move my mind? And so I watch a movie or I read a book or something like that. And so it's not advice, but I guess I'm telling myself sometimes that I need to just sit tight with what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I think sometimes that is important to do in those feelings because if you let them build up, it could, turn into a worse reaction, personal reaction.
yeah. That's my sense of it is that if I push something back long enough, it's going to come out sideways. So at a time I didn't plan, in a space I don't want, here it goes. It's horse out of the barn kind of situation. So just trying to be mindful of that so I don't have things slipping out somewhere I don't want them to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I was thinking there's two things I kind of want to do today in the time we have. One, I realized that we have sat together for two, three times now, and I don't really know your story in terms of moving you to meditation or where you are in that process. So it'd be really great if you could talk about that some.
Um,
If you want. If you don't, we'll skip it and move on.
yeah, I think our sits have been the most intentional sits and time that I've spent to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I would just do it when I felt like myself reaching like a boiling point.
Right.
Oh no, I have to do something about all of these feelings that are bubbling and moving around in front of me, side of me before they come out sideways, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that, I started using a sound bowl, um, and singing with it a little bit, and taking some time to just sit and write my thoughts out. That's something that I've tried to be a little bit more about this year.
Yeah.
And also, I kind of find this to be my own form of meditation, but I got a coloring book for moments when I have, anxiety, just to have something to like maybe focus my hands on or just, distract my mind or focus in one particular task or like a picture that I'm coloring in. So that's kind of my meditation practice. It's not as formal.
No, I see, and that's the. I think we do get hung up on what we think meditation should be, how we should behave in that frame, and then um, when we're not reaching that, we don't call that a meditative experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's really accurate. There are people that use meditation in their running. That's an entire practice. That's how they do it. There are some folks that they do walking meditation, and that is their form of meditation. And it's beautiful in my mind. It really is one of a good key, a good way to get in. I think fewer people use the kind of meditation that we're playing with here, this formal sit in a space and do the thing. I think what you can learn from doing it like this, that more formally, is to be able to clock into it when you need it. Your breath is always with you. You don't need, I love my little cushion. I love my little bell. I love all this stuff. But what I know is I have everything I need for this practice, walking, running, wherever I am, because it's about the breath and about my connection to that. If I don't have that, then we got bigger things going on than whether I can meditate or not. So
Yeah.
I really, um, I love the formal practice, but I also know that I try to connect to it in other times when it's not practice. So I like to sing that, and you sing, yeah?
Yes.
Right. So you know that exchange of breath, that in and out, and the vibration that happens in your body,
Yeah.
it becomes, for me, it becomes the thing that comes out. That vibration is what comes out. That's meditative to me. Your art, really. So I guess I'm saying to you and saying to myself that yes, it's good to stop and do a formal, but also to notice when it's coming into your life and not that formal space. Shower time, good time.
Yeah.
Nobody's bugging you, and you have the tactile sense of the water in your body, but there's nothing else to do in there. What else you gonna
Yeah.
do but be with yourself? So yeah, I find that to be a good time to just sort of rest.
Yeah. Me too.
So,
I also started this year having like intentional shower cries just to let myself cry and release. So
yeah,
that's something that I try to do weekly.
I wish I had that. Could be willful in that way. Crying, especially in these last few months, happens at random times. Mostly connected with some visual stimulation. So I'm watching Lovecraft, and
Yeah.
and I had connected to it in one way, but I find myself crying every week. I mean, just the power of the images. Sometimes it's just the power of seeing Black people in motion, in life, in strength. It just amazes me. So yeah, it's generally caught up with something fairly humorous too. So I find myself sort of on that edge of laughing and crying,
Hmm.
which for me is that's the winner when you see that there's not a lot of room between those emotional responses. It's on a line. So not intentional for me, but I do let it just sort of happen.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I brought a reading today that I really just picked up before we started. I hadn't decided on anything. This is one of the first teachers that was identified as such that I heard. When I began practicing that, well, began practicing, that first year I got to hear in person the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh within a couple of months of each other. So that was a really powerful and auspicious start to practice. I got like jump started into the thinking. So I have this today, and then what I'd like to do is read this, and then we'll sort of guide ourselves into a fairly short sit, and then come out. Sound all right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So again, this is by Thich Nhat Hanh. The little book is called Beyond the Self. And these are Buddhist teachings, so they're going to sound like that. And he says, one day Buddha asked the monk Sona, is it true that before you became a monk, you were a musician? Sona replied that it was so. The Buddha said, what happens if the string on your instrument is too loose? When you pluck it, there will be no sound, Sona replied. What happens when the string is too taut? It will break. The practice of the way is the same, said the Buddha. So we'll take that into meditation. It's really nice seeing you today. Very nice seeing you.
Always nice to see you, Dee.
So we'll begin now. Loosen your body up, but have a dignified carriage. You're royalty sitting here. That's who you are. Absolutely important. Okay. I'll get us seated and then we'll just breathe. So right now I'm getting my back in a position, getting comfortable where I'm sitting, resting my hands on my thighs, looking out 3 feet and down, soft gaze. Let your jaw relax and drop a little open. And now we breathe. In on the out breath, follow the out breath out. Dissolve into that space. And then you'll come back. And again. If thoughts enter, just turn them about a little bit. Don't hold on. Let them go out. They'll be back. I promise. The teaching of the reading was about not too tight, not too loose. So as we sit here, don't try and regulate your body too much, but don't fall over. Out and back. If you hear sounds in your environment, blend those into your practice, into your breathing. Life is going to continue to happen while we're sitting. The practice is about balancing within that, not stopping it, but finding your place within that flow. I'd like to offer some affirmations for us to go through our weekend with. Please be willing to internally state your own if you have an aspiration today for yourself or someone else. So, my offering to you, know your worth and know that you are worthy of all good, all benefit, just as you are. No adjustments needed. Know that you're part of this continuum. We're all connected. Know that you're part of a larger thing and necessary for that integration. And through all of that, know that you're loved. That's what I have today. That's what I have. So we'll come up a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. And part of what I want you to know here, I'm approaching this in my delivery to you fairly formally, but I'm going back to the beginning. Don't get hung up on structure. Understand the technique and the principle, and then it's like learning a dance. Huh? So you see somebody doing a dance, you watch and you get your step together, and then you're doing it like them. But when you walk away, then you can feel it, and it marries other movement, and then the dance is yours. Huh? That's what this is. There's a real formal level that one can practice at, but I think in this moment of time, we need equipment to be in motion with. And that's what I'm trying to offer now is the idea that it is not this still, sterile kind of activity that gets moved to people that can be still and sterile, and most of us really cannot. This is an activity of regular people. You go to Tibet, which is where the practice I understand comes from, or how I've learned the practice. People are like farming in the mountains and really doing crazy stuff. The way I got to learn was very bookish and very formal and very elevated. But that's not how real people practice. They are herding cattle and practicing. They're doing their life, and that's their practice. So that's what I'm trying to offer today. I'm going to practice when I go in here and I'm cutting my food. It's very, I've got the equipment I want. I've got knives I like the food, and that motion of serving myself becomes real dear.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And
Oh, yes. Thank you for taking it. Thank you for receiving it. Yes. So, it feels like that's what I want to offer today.
okay.
Is there, do you have any kind of questions for me around practice or any kind of, yeah, anything? I'm good.
Um, do you ever do you ever find yourselves um in maybe formal settings, whether it's like work or social settings, where you're feeling yourself or and your emotions get uncomfortable, and like is there a way that you tap in to some of this practice to recenter yourself in the moment?
That's a good question, and it's a tricky question in a way, because what I believe I'm saying is don't run from that. Don't. I mean, you might want to be able to manage it, but I get real curious about my emotions. And I think with practice, you get not desensitized, but you don't feel like you're flying off all the time. So you can see something happen, you can see
Mhm.
it happening, and you have that one step back. It's still happening, but you can view it. And that's what I'm suggesting is I think if you run from stuff, it's going to keep appearing until you work it out.
Yeah.
So my suggest, and this is just general garden variety
Mhm.
stuff that happens. I'm not talking about big giant stuff,
Yeah.
but I tend to want to poke it. I want to find out why that's happening, and the more I think about working with bias and those kinds of things, I want to know how I have this thing connected in my head, and if there's a way to disconnect something that has no real meaning.
Hmm.
So how do I buy my time back, buy my emotion back from something that is not helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in real stressful situations, in like an immediate sense, having the ability to breathe, to just that activity of slowing and centering can help. I found that I just kind of use it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to stop right now. You keep talking, but I'm going to do this for a minute
Yeah.
so that I can actually hear you or do what we're doing. I think it just comes with practice. I think you can just step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. With care though. Not running. That's the thing.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is turn your back on whatever's got you elevated. Just breathe through it.
Yeah. Does anybody watch have any questions? Do you have any questions, D, for myself?
Well, it's funny. I'm looking at my bookcase behind me, thinking, "Geez, I need to do something with this mess." I don't know. Um, no, I think I asked the questions I wanted. For me, if we go on with this process, I will learn what I want to know because we're talking, and that's kind of how stuff happens. So I'm good with a slow unfolding. I am. I trust that we will both be somewhere, and that will happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
You
do you
like,
do you want to go back out again? Do you want to sit one more time, or yeah?
yes.
Okay, well let's do that. And we have some folks, so I'm going to really invite folks that are with us to just try this for a minute, 2 minutes, and see where we get. Okay. It is not a matter of stopping your thoughts. It's a matter of letting them, not too tight, don't hold them, not too loose, don't ignore them. I hope. Well, thanks for today. I always feel really grateful because I would not get to this cushion at this time of day, or maybe today, without this encouragement. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you in a couple weeks, eh? Or probably later today. I
Yeah,
don't know.
later today.
Yeah. Okay, peace.
Peace, everyone.
Have a good day.
Too.
Bye.
For more sexual health resources, go ahead and call the 202-797-4493, 4439. Sorry, that's 202-797-4439 for any questions on sexual health, wellness, COVID-19 resources, and all that great stuff. Till next time, be well, everyone.